left Fariche pretty early in the morning. You have to walk along this ridge line with this valley drop pretty low below you, and it's just a pretty sweet view. I found myself stopping just to catch a glimpse of these giant snow-capped peaks. It's pretty cool to be trekking with all of the yaks and all the other trekkers on this barren plain. It's great to stop along the way to get some tea and catch up and joke about, but at the same time it's also really cool to be able to look around and see these 20,000 plus foot peaks around you. Once you get up to the top of the hill between the tea house and Lobuche, you see a lot of these memorials. They're memorials for Sherpa climbers and foreign climbers. It was pretty saddening to know that so many people have died. This is just one memorial. There are many along the way. It was really awesome to finally get to Lobuche. We gained a lot of altitude that day, and we ended up just over 16,000 feet. It was a really beautiful evening. The clouds were just rolling in, and I was just all around happy to be there. Walking from Lobuche to Gorikshep, it was really cool because we'd walk along this ridge, and on one side you've got this big moraine, which is the glacier. It just looked like one giant construction site with a lot of rocks just laying around everywhere. We would occasionally come up to these steady inclines, and they were a lot harder than they would be back home. It just felt like you'd take 3 steps and you'd have to catch your breath. Being at 17,000 feet at Gorikshep, the first night was a little rough. I remember having a headache for most of the time, but we did a few acclimatization hikes. Being this high in altitude is a lot rougher than I expected. Sleeping is a lot more difficult. There seems to be a lot of people that are sick up here. They've got what's called the Kumbu cough. You can hear them going all night. In Gorikshep, the walls are paper thin, so it sounds like they're coughing right in your ear. The rooms in the lodges are no bigger than a closet, and you've got one small window which is iced up every morning. You've got Nuptse right in front of you, and she's a beautiful looking mountain. And then you've got Pamori right around you as well, and you're just pretty much like in this cradle of snow-capped peaks. Walking from Gorikshep to base camp, you start to leave a lot of the soil behind, and it starts to turn into nothing but rock, so you're just hopping from boulder to boulder a lot of the way. You get a lot closer to the glacier, so you see a lot of glacier lakes. They're kind of terrifying when you walk right alongside them. Once you get to a point at which you can see base camp, that's when you start seeing like these giant pillars of ice. Before you get to base camp, there's a place called Trekkers Base Camp, which is just this area with quite a few prayer flags, and there's a little sign that says base camp and gives you the altitude. That's not the real base camp, that's just where the trekkers go. Our base camp was another 45 minutes down the moraine. First thing that you notice is you see these tents on these shelves. I guess they're shelves of ice with rocks on top of them. Then you see this big dome tent with a Far Cry 4 banner on it. If you look down the valley back toward Lobuche and Gorikshep, you can see over clouds, which is kind of cool because it just gives you an idea of how high you really are right now. Kalpatar is this big mountain that's near Gorikshep. It's roughly 18,500 feet, and that's where we're going to be doing our world record attempt for highest altitude console gaming. There are quite a few things that could potentially cause problems for us, like the PlayStation not working while we're up there, how long we'd have to spend up there on this exposed summit, climbing up to an altitude that I've never been to before. This has been our destination for the past 10 days, so it's nice to be here, but I am definitely thinking of home more often since we've been out here for so long.